Hello, good evening, Professor McCoy. Welcome back, Dragon Age Inquisition. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Again, I've been, with my computer troubles from the last week or so, I've been fiddling around with audio settings all over the place. Sure. Volume's okay for everybody. That's dramatically quiet.
Nothing to report, sir.
Oh, it's not too bad. Okay, never mind. It's just the music is really far down, that's all. Alright. Don't need it. Anyway, we are back here in the Forbidden Oasis. We are looking for the remaining of these shards, which have some purpose that we are going to also discover tonight. It's mostly an unlockable sort of thing. It's not that big of a deal. There isn't too much of narrative or philosophical significance going on, but there's some things here and there. Meanwhile, I'm happy to bring up anything that comes up, as well as I'd be very happy to talk about my latest video, which came out yesterday, I believe. Yeah, yesterday. Which is on primary and secondary causality, and also having to do with good and bad storytelling, all that sort of thing. If you saw it, if you have any questions or would like me to expand upon it at all, please do let me know. I'd be happy to. In fact, it was the topic of that video actually was inspired by one of the streams of a sort of passing thought that I had in response to a question. I believe the question had to do with Molinism, and I basically in the over the course of that video, I avoided talking about Molinism entirely, pointing out that it was beyond the scope of this argument, sort of thing, which it was. It was certainly would have significantly distracted from the overall points I was making. Darn. In any case, my point overall was, one of the video that is, was to try and explain some of the principal models for explaining divine causality, and particularly the relationship between divine causality and creaturely causality. Now I say creaturely causality, not just human agency, because creaturely causality goes beyond just human agency. It also discusses, it also goes into naturalistic causes, so objects and stuff. Things that don't have agent causality, but then even within creaturely agent causality, you also have angels, which depending on your angelology, may have the same type of causal power as humans. They may have an entirely different type of causal power, usually dependent upon their relationship with time, which is very complicated depending on who you ask. So, I didn't get into too many of those details because, my god, there were already a lot of weeds to get lost in, and it was a 35-minute video or so I already got lost in quite a few weeds. I can only imagine having gotten lost in more of them. Oh, hey, spooters. Let's take care of those. I bet there's more in there. That looks gross. Yeah, anyway. Yes, there are more of them. So that's more or less why I didn't want to bring up things like Molinism or other causal systems. I didn't even, oddly, didn't even really bring up Calvinism at all, which is another very common system of interrelating divine and human causality. It is, I think, of the three I discussed, which are open theism, occasionalism, and primary and secondary causality, or what we might call Thomism. I do think that it is much closer to occasionalism than either of the other two. However, that is not fair to Calvinism. Now, I don't like being fair to Calvinism, because I kind of detest Calvinism. I think that it is, at least in terms of Calvinism, the Calvin and the Calvinists' idea of God's sovereignty is one of the vilest heresies ever invented. However, it's still, it's correct to be charitable. Oh, by the way, if you were thinking that I was going to be in any of my evaluations of theological or philosophical topics, if you thought I was going to be nice and neutral, no, that's not my style. Ars Cavern key required. Oh, I bet we have to go give this wedding ring back that we found. That's right. We have to find somebody randomly wandering in the wilderness and give back the wedding ring after that they lost in there because the spiders chased them out. I remember this quest. Okay, fine. Fine. Let's go and do some of that. Anyway, though. Having not gotten into Calvinism, having not gone into even Molinism, there is still plenty of ground to cover on the general subject. My purpose though is to take these sort of three theories and compare them in particular to things that we can find in, broadly speaking, let's say literature. Did I find everything with this one? Zero.
Is it true that the entire dwarven economy relies upon lyrium?
Mostly. We've got the Nug market cornered as well.
And the dwarves of Orzammar have never studied lyrium?
If they have, they certainly haven't shared anything up here. Why?
It is the source of all magic, save that which mages bring themselves. Dwarves alone have the ability to mine it safely. I wondered if they had sought to learn more.
The folks back in Orzammar don't care much about anything but tradition.
Now, I will say that is a bit atypical in most fantasy stories for dwarves. Most of the time, in most fantasy settings, Tolkien is a great example of this. We find dwarves are technically, mechanically, and we might even say scientifically minded. They do have this tendency to explore and try to explain and understand things so that they can craft things more effectively and efficiently. And they have a minds for metal and machinery, usually compared but also contrasted with goblins. Goblins of various sorts usually also have this very similar kind of mind for machinery. However, their minds for machinery are destructive. They have a kind of innate desire to make things that tick and whir, so to speak. But at the same time, when goblins do so, they do so destructively. When dwarves do so, it is for the sake of the craft. When goblins make things, they are very utilitarian. When dwarves make things, they are their utmost and foremost goal, traditionally, at least in Tolkien, and usually in most, say, Dungeons and Dragons settings, and most of the time when you find fantasy dwarves, their goal is beauty. They want to create beautiful things using their craftsmanship. They want to create something that has never been seen or never been made before. That was easy. I probably didn't need to use the bubble, but I did anyway. So this dwarven craftsmanship of creating for the sake of what they are creating. They are creative, innately creative. Their whole goal and desire in their mechanistic discoveries is not to do anything useful in particular. Although, of course, their inventions and creations are, in fact, useful. And that's not their goal. Their goal is beauty. They want to make something that will inspire. that people will wonder at. This setting, the Dragon Age setting, subverts a lot of traditional fantasy tropes. That among them, dwarves in this setting are resolutely traditional. They are like stone in that regard, which makes sense symbolically, but it's very different symbology than we normally expect with respect to dwarves. At least in most fantasy settings, like I said. Let's see. Inscription taken at the temple doors in the Forbidden Oasis, followed by a translation. The writing is shaky and uneven, though the writer is able to complete the task. Emma solas him vardinan, telgaras solasan, melana an afim lasenaste. Arrogance became our end. Arrogance, solus. That's got to be a coincidence. Come not to a prideful place, not now let humility grant favor. Well, let's open her up. We have enough shards.
Feels wrong here. It's worth by the door. Indeed. I feel it as well.
I feel it too. Temple of Pride. I bet it's a pride demon.
Entry. It's not present here.
I believe it was a magical ward of sorts. A warning, perhaps, or a test.
I bet it was a pride demon. Or I bet something inside is a pride demon. Because that's also a thing.
I believe I sensed one of the artifacts of my people.
Yeah, it's downstairs. Let's go downstairs then. What will we find? I wonder.
Good. That should help strengthen the veil.
Okay, so let's go light some veil fire over there. Anyway, this is actually one of the a very interesting theme usually found within high fantasy of the double-edged sword of technology and progress. We see the dwarven impulse to create and to inspire and to make things new and beautiful and creativity, even maybe just for creativity's own sake. This is, of course, in stark contrast to something that is on the surface very similar, which is the sort of more goblinoid impulse to create things, to make things, but that are utilitarian and useful. Don't need that. Come on. No? Yes. There we go. Oh. You'll also notice, by the way, that between the last game and this game, there's been massive price inflation. That a gold piece in the previous games, in both Origins and Dragon Age 2, a gold piece was a significant amount of money. In this game, a gold piece is next to nothing. That's like a penny, maybe $1 if you're being overly generous. Whereas in the previous game, it was a good chunk of money. And I forget what the in-universe causal explanation for this is, but they do actually have one. It's not like really well thought out, and the main reason for it is to not have multiple currency types, multiple currency denominations in the game. Toxic Cloud, no. Rogue, no. We don't actually need any of those. I'll take the Spirit Resistance. Never know when we'll need that. Possible. This is using up our shards, by the way. There we go. No problem. I didn't need that. Anyway, though, it's this difference in how a technology is approached is the very, very historical and classical distinction of the sort of double-edged sword that is technological advancement and progress in general. We see the sort of light side of progress, of material conditions improving. People are better off in most respects, but at the same time, there is a danger of treating progress as merely utilitarian and sort of losing out on... Oh.
Are you all right?
I feel a bit strange.
The magic was drawn to you, possibly because of your mark. The effects were purely benign.
If it wasn't a
Well,
trap,
that's good.
what was it?
It may be a reward for those who prove themselves worthy.
I guess I gotta finish looting these entirely to get the boon. Didn't realize that. Okay. A lot of spirit resistance. Coolio. Alright. Next. Should we do fire resistance or frost resistance? Frost honestly would have been really helpful for Jaws of Hakkon, but let's do fire next. Oh well. Move on in. Ow.
Make it take you!
By the end of Hard in Hightown, almost every character is revealed as a spy or a traitor.
Wait, you read my book?
It was in the Inquisition library. Everyone but Donnan turned out to be in disguise. Is that common?
Are we still talking about books, or are you asking if everyone I know is a secret agent?
Are there many tricksters in dwarven literature?
A handful, but they're the exception. Mostly they're just honoring the ancestors. It's very dull stuff. Human literature. Now there's where you'll find the tricky, clever, really deceitful types.
Curious.
Not really. Dwarves write how they want things to be. Humans write to figure out how things are.
That's funny. Let me actually write something down, because I think that on that note, I think that stories that are optimistic like that are aspirational, are in general, I think, better stories. A new episode of Out of Frame from the Foundation for Economic Education just came out today, which was about the subject, really. And it pointed out that much of our literature today, and by literature I mean literature in all its forms, whether that's traditional books, whether that's comics, whether that's movies, whether that's television, whatever. Much of our literature today is mired in a kind of pessimism, or even going so far as to say nihilism, and that I think that is far for the worse. That's not a good thing for the quality of literature, and then also for the quality of our culture. I think because our culture is so mired in darkness in general, let's say, pessimism, that it's becoming very difficult for us to even take seriously the idea that the world might ever get better, or that the world is improvable, or even that the world is worth improving. That's actually kind of one of the worst points of this, is when it gets to the point where not only do we think that that no progress is possible, again going back to the point of progress, it mutes and distorts and ultimately will destroy the impulse for the positive end of that progress, which is a terrible thing, because progress does have, especially technological and creative progress, has wonderfully good aspects to it, even if there is a danger. You'll be fine, Cass, don't worry. Oh, okay. Well, more gold. But I think the biggest problem with this is that we in our society, we have this tendency to not take stories seriously, and this was a point of the the major point, I think, of the episode. I think that, and by the way, worth noting, this is the second to last ever episode of Out of Frame. So, if you have liked the series, it is coming to an end, sadly. John Malone, the guy who's in charge of it, is moving on to other things and other places, and so the series is wrapping up. Ending on an excellent note. I don't know if this is not the last episode, obviously, but the last episode is coming soon. And the second to last one was fantastic, because it does point out that we really do need good, optimistic stories. And one of the chief examples that he points to is The Lord of the Rings. Whether that's the book or the films, both are highly optimistic, but not naive. Neither the books nor the film are naive to the point of thinking that there is no hardship. But it's crucial. Both.
We need more shards.
Oh no! I need more. Okay, it means we need to find the rest. But both the books and the films are emphasize that it is absolutely, utterly crucial to remember that the hardships are worth enduring for the result, and that the result will ultimately be triumph of the good winning out over evil, etc. All of that stuff that we think is stuff of fairy tales, all of that stuff that we in our modern society are trained to think of as quaint and maybe even a bit silly. It's all very important, and it reminds us, good stories, that is, remind us that good stories remind us that not even necessarily what's possible, because in some circumstances, good winning out over evil may not be possible, but in all circumstances, it is worth fighting for. I'm always reminded delightfully of Sam's speech in the film, which honestly I think was probably better arranged and better placed in Peter Jackson's depiction than it was in the book. Speech at that takes place in the movie at Osgiliath, where Sam says that he's talking about the people and the great stories, that they had chances of turning back, but they didn't. And it's because they were holding on to something, that there's some good in this world and that it's worth fighting for. And honestly, that speech is my favorite moment in the entire film trilogy. Evening, Chosby. Welcome. Chosby. Be that as it may. Welcome anyway. But that is absolutely, I think, my absolute favorite moment in the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, especially the film trilogy. There are maybe other moments in the books that might be a bit better, because I think the book handles the victory the description of the fall of Mordor. I think that is handled so gorgeously well in the books. In a way that the movie can't quite depict. It does a good job. It does a really good job, but the book is just amazing. You guys want, if anybody really wants, I will read the specific passage that I have in mind. It's only maybe a page long, and it's just a description of the destruction and evil of Mordor falling into nothing, and everyone rejoicing for this new catastrophe, this miraculous shift in things. And I will say that there are moments that approach that in this game. Not this. This is just, medium. but actually coming in a couple of weeks, near the end of the game, there are just moments of that. Like, I can't believe that we are so utterly victorious. We had no right to be, and yet here we are. And it is it's what I keep saying about this game. Is that you can really feel the hand of the maker.
We should look around.
You can really feel the hand of the maker in basically everything that happens here. Darn. Okay, she used up spell range. It's fine. Oh, you're waiting for me to play Inquisition again? Yeah, sorry about last week. I mentioned this Monday because it's been a huge problem. The landscapers next door accidentally cut our cable line when they were installing sprinklers. And so I was basically without internet for this week. Or this past weekend. And I only barely managed to get it all fixed Monday afternoon. When I was just barely getting ready for Monday night's KOTOR 2 stream. Which we did get to. We got it. We got it all set. We're good. And we're back on track. We're back on schedule, back on target. Everything is as it should be. All good, all wonderful. But man, that was a lot of. It took a lot of doing. Got it done, but it took a lot. Thetas. But yeah, I am glad to be back. Glad to be. We're actually very close. Excuse me. We're very close to finishing up this game. There's not a whole lot left. There's this, which is really more side questy type stuff than anything else. And there are 2 or 3 more main quests, which are not terribly long. So there's not a whole lot left. In at least the main game, there is still the Trespasser DLC, which will be at least a couple of weeks. A couple of, not a couple of weeks, but a couple of streams. So, real time, a couple of weeks. And then we'll be wrapping it up. We'll be wrapping up Inquisition. Like I have said, I really do like this game a great deal. I like this whole series, honestly. The whole series is great. I like the setting, despite it being a bit darker. It's much closer to something like dark fantasy than it is to high fantasy, and so in that respect, it is. As I was talking about, I think a couple of weeks ago, I spent a good bit of time talking about this. That I think that is outside my general preferences. I do really strongly prefer much more optimistic high fantasy rather than what we have here, which is, like I said, probably closer to something like dark fantasy. Door in Paras's cavern. Ah, that's right. I need to find the key. Old endured. And that landmark, and that landmark, and that rift. That's up high. I have no idea how to get this place. It's good level design. Very maze-like. Very hard to navigate, but not in Not in a tedious sort of way. It's all entirely predictable, and it all makes sense where everything is and how to get to places. However, it takes exploring, and it takes some doing to actually get there. You didn't need to do that, Cass. It's fine. Oh well. Alright. Nusby says, I'm glad to hear that the issue has been resolved. You plan to play the DLC. Yes, absolutely. This game is not complete without Trespasser. Trespasser really, like, finishes a dangling plot hole. Not plot hole. Now, let me put it this way. Without Trespasser, it would be a plot hole. And I won't say what that is in case you're not sure, in case you haven't played this yet. But it involves one of the main characters. And without Trespasser, their story just kind of stops. And man, there are some major unresolved issues without Trespasser. Now, even with Trespasser, there are some unresolved issues, but they're unresolved on purpose because they're sequel bait. And we know that even more so now that they're sequel bait because we know a little bit more about the sequel.
Josephine, Liliana, or Cassandra?
Ooh.
I'm right here, you know.
That doesn't rule you out, Seeker.
Cullen's not up for consideration?
Curly, they just keep him around to look pretty.
Rude. Yeah, I'm glad to. Like I said, Chosby, I'm really glad to stream this one. This series is one of my favorite fantasy games. I really like it. In general, like mechanically, I love the world building. I don't necessarily love the world. It's one of those worlds where no one sane would ever want to live in it. However, I think that the world building is brilliantly done. And that's one of the things that I admire most about storytelling, storytelling in general, is world building. If you can build a believable and coherent and cohesive world, then you have my great respect, and I will definitely enjoy your story. That's why I always loved Star Wars, especially the expanded universe, the old expanded universe especially, was because of its massive sprawling world and really its rich, detailed world. Like, you could pick any planet on a galaxy map in Star Wars, any one of thousands, and there was stuff there, and that stuff was part of the living and developing and constantly changing world of the galaxy. Journal of Paulette Deschamps. Andraste's sweet ass. I'm a fool for betting what I couldn't pay. Now I have to take Nico shift in the tunnel closer to that door. A lot of them fell silent at that. Nico tried to take it back. He's a good enough lad. I gave my word. Nico's first night here, he thought to sleep below the ridge at the back of the pool. We didn't notice. He woke up the whole camp with screaming. He sleeps under the statue outside the camp now and shakes when he goes near the pool. I let him keep his wind. He can owe me a drink when it's done. Interesting. This is right where we were. Yeah, that's right where we were, down there. We don't need to go down there again. We especially don't need to fall down there. That'd be a huge pain. Yes, I did. I used the save all the way back from Origins through Dragon Age 2, all the way to this one. In fact, you can look at... Well, I mean, they're all in this series. So if you look at the playlist... on my channel, you can find the Philosophy of Dragon Age series, which is Origins 2 and this one, including all of the DLCs for all three games. Okay, no, not true. Not true. That's not technically true. I did not play the Darkspawn Chronicles for Origins. And I didn't... Oh, was there another one I didn't play for Origins, or was that it? That might have been it. Because I definitely played... I'm closer. Spirits. What are you gonna do? Nothing. I played Awakening. Then I played Liliana's Song and Witch Hunt. I think that might have been it. Was there another one? Was there one that I just didn't do? I'm trying to remember if there was another one in addition to those. I don't think so. I think that was it. Come on, Varric. You're okay. You're fine. You'll be fine. Alright, there we go. Oh, that's right. Golems of Amgarak. That's the only DLC, that's the only actual story DLC that I skipped. Because I don't really consider Darkspawn Chronicles to be a real story DLC. That's just a sort of alternate history one. Oh gosh, yes. So Chaspy says, some people say it changes the game a lot when you use the save. Is this true? Yes and no. I'm going to say mostly yes. Just a second.
Why are you following me? I'm just looking for stuff to salvage. I used to work here. I know no one needs it.
No, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
I'm with the Inquisition.
Been out here a while. But I'll assume that's important. Doesn't explain why you're following me.
I'm not.
You came all the way out here to
haven't seen you
salvage
before.
old mining equipment.
Mostly, I wanted to go into this one cave. Used to store stuff there. Damn thing wasn't overrun by spiders then. I put my wedding ring there. Couldn't stand the sight of the thing. But I couldn't throw it away, either. Oh, it was a stupid argument. Part of me knew I'd still want that ring.
Here.
I believe this is yours.
Nothing here's worth as much as this. It's all I have left. I don't have much, but this opens one of my old caches. Whatever's left is yours. As thanks.
I'll see. Anyway, though, yes. So importing a save is not exactly the right term for how this game is managed. The reason for that is that this game doesn't technically import save data from the previous games. You can import you can import the data from Dragon Age Origins to Dragon Age 2, but there is no importer from Dragon Age 2 to this game. Okay, that was easy enough. But because there's no importer, basically what that means is that how it works is there is a web service called Dragon Age Keep, where you go through all of the various decisions from Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2. Then you import that world state into Dragon Age Inquisition. What this means is that even if you haven't played Origins or 2, or even if you don't have Origins or 2, and you don't really mind spoilers, then what you can do is you can just go to Dragon Age Keep and more or less write out your story. You can go through making the decisions for each of each of the two previous games, and then how they affect the story here. Now, if you haven't done that at all, this game is very, very bare bones, because it selects a default world state, which is it's very shallow, and it doesn't have the same connection to what you have done before, let's say. And it also doesn't have the deep layers of customizability that you would have if you're actually continuing along the same story, or even just constructing your world state in a very precise and particular and careful sort of way. So if you are going to play Dragon Age Inquisition, and I do recommend it, it's a very good game. I most highly recommend to play Origins and to play Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 2 catches a lot of flack from a lot of fans because it was never really completed. It was put out in a fairly incomplete state, and that is very disappointing. Had a very rushed development cycle, which is sad, because there was a lot of potential. Some of the character writing, especially, is best in the series. Cool. But it really does show that the development cycle was very rushed and was rushed out. The whole game was developed, start to finish, in, I think, under 12 months. So yeah, I would recommend it nonetheless, especially if you can find it with all of the DLC. Because again, just like this one, the DLC for both of them, for all three of the games, it really is significant to the story. In Origins, it shows... So Awakening, the main villain of Awakening, is very closely related to Corypheus, the main villain in this game. He is another sort of awakened Darkspawn, which shouldn't be possible, based on what we know. Uh-oh. Oh god, that's going to fall on me, isn't it? Did I just... Oh, okay, no, I just opened a way through. Cool, never mind. I thought that was going to be a disaster. I was wrong. Cool. Anyway, where's the shard? There it is, down there. So Awakening does that, and then it also sort of provides the transition between the major plot events of Dragon Age Origins and the major plot events of Dragon Age 2. Then you have Golems of Amgarak, which isn't actually important. Leliana's Song, which is cool because it provides some backstory to Leliana, one of the major characters in Origins, a little bit in Dragon Age 2. She shows up a couple of times, and a major character in this one. And it provides a lot of her backstory, which is definitely worth going into. But that one isn't as important moving forward. But then Witch Hunt is spectacularly important going forward, because that plays that has a lot to do with Morrigan, major character in Origins and in in Inquisition, sorry, this one. And then also leads directly into some of the major plot points in this game. So it is definitely worth doing. Stop going, falling. But there we go. Cassandra, just wait until I've put the bridge in place, please. All right, that's all the shards, every single one of them. Alright, how do I get back up there again? But yeah, if you haven't played any of them before, I would recommend playing through all of them.
It makes sense that Leliana did the recruiting when the Inquisition started. Not everyone can be intimidated into signing up, after all.
I recruited Commander Cullen.
Lucky him.
He's made no complaints about my manners.
His last boss was a raving lunatic who turned into a statue. That's not a high bar.
Yes, there's that. So, Chospy, yes, I did. I streamed all 3 Dragon Age games. It's been well over a year now. All 3 of them are very, very long. This one is unbelievably long, but mostly because of side quests. And I, of course, make these streams longer than they probably need to be because I stop and talk about things in the middle of dialogue, that sort of thing. Because, again, a large purpose of these streams is to talk about philosophy. I don't do this just to play games. And so when it brings up an interesting topic, often theological, sometimes just more basic philosophical, I'll just kind of stop mid-conversation and talk for half an hour. I've done that several times. And so because of that, it's my playthroughs have been somewhat longer. This is, number 36, each one being 3 hours long for Dragon Age Inquisition alone. So, like I said, it's a long game. I make it longer. And it's a long game in large part, like I said, due to a lot of side quests. So if you're just doing the main story, it's probably 30 to 40 hours. If you're doing all the side quests like this, it's well over 100. And I will also say, though, even Origins, if you include the DLC... Oh no, it wasn't good. If you include the DLC for Origins, it's at least 50 or 60 hours long.
Make it take you!
And that's without too much side questing. There's not nearly as many side quests in Origins as there are in this one. It's just, again, it's a very long and very detailed game. I do recommend, I'll recommend my streams, though be careful, because there are spoilers, obviously. So if you're wanting to play it by yourself and not have any major plot points spoiled, do it first. Like I said, I would certainly recommend it. If instead you just want to see the story so far, the first video in each playlist... Oh, I don't have enough. Where am I missing shards? That's weird. What areas am I missing shards from? Darn. Oh, hey, a rift. Go do that before we leave this place. If you are interested in playing it yourself, like I said, I highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal game series, and it is some of BioWare at its best, and it's most BioWare-ish. If you like narrative and character-driven RPGs, especially ones that deal with really complex and interesting philosophical and even theological issues, it's great. It is also one of the best depictions of an original monotheistic religion in fiction, or especially in fantasy literature, which tends to do a better job depicting sort of polytheistic paganism than it does monotheism. I mean, for obvious reasons. Right? Most fantasy literature is pretty explicitly pagan. I don't know if I'm going to make it to that. I'm not, am I? Maybe I can make it here. There we go. Popped too. Wait, I didn't mean to do that at all. Fine, whatever. Did the job. But yeah, if you aren't, and especially, that's another thing about these games. The actual gameplay style of Origins is pretty outdated. I've talked about this when streaming KOTOR as well. if it is not the sort of game that you can enjoy, because it is very old school, it is very ability bar and tactically based. If that's not the kind of game that you enjoy, I can totally understand that. It is definitely not for everybody, and a lot of it is actually fairly difficult. What was it? No. Landmarks. I missed a landmark in Impuis. Okay. Back. No. Where in the world am I missing shards? Yeah, no. Requisition. Oh, the stupid treasure maps. Anyway, so if it's not your style, feel free to skip. See, it's hard to skip Origins and not 2. 2 is a lot more like this. It's still tactical, but it leans far more towards action, or towards a sort of action RPG. And so it's more welcoming to sort of modern gaming sensibilities if this is more your thing. That said, I don't need that either. Wait, what? Position a bound book. It's weird. I'm probably not going to finish this side quest. That's the wastes. Beef requisition. There's got to be more in the hissing wastes, right? No, not here. Not really. The problem with this area is I don't really know where I'm missing anything. Colossus. Mountain King. I don't know. You just... You know what? Let's keep going forward. See what happens. It's weird that I'm missing shards this late in the game, having done basically everything, but whatever. Anyway, like I said, if you don't really mind spoilers and you just want to get caught up on the stories, the first video in each of the playlists is a tapestry. So basically narrated by Varric, the dwarf that we're hanging out with, who's a major character in 2 and Inquisition. He narrates the story of each of the first 2 games leading into Inquisition. Then, if you want to see the details and you actually want to see a playthrough and see what the game is like, that sort of thing, feel free. Watch them. Like I said, they're long. There's a lot there, but check it out. Other games that I have streamed have been the entire the Mass Effect trilogy, not Andromeda, at least not yet, but the full Mass Effect trilogy. Red Dead Redemption 2, Nier Automata, which was very good. Very philosophical again, and very on the nose philosophical, but done interestingly. And of course, Red Dead Redemption 2 is maybe one of my favorite games made, story-wise especially. And Far Cry 5, which I really liked right up until the ending. You can see why if you want to watch that one. It's a shorter series, and you'll see why. And then Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1, and now I'm on to 2, and I'm doing those Monday nights. After I finish this game, I'm going to be going on to Kingdom Come Deliverance for Thursdays, which I have not played ever, and I'm really looking forward to streaming it with you guys. Let's see if Iron Bull has anything new.
Hey, that elven redhead who makes the buns in the kitchen. Is she available? Because I'm getting signals.
I have no idea. Why would I know that? Why would I ever know that?
See you later, Bull.
Nice talking with you, boss.
You all right, sir? Of course.
Why would I know that?
Inquisitor!
Yeah, yes, hello? Ma'am?
Training hard, Inquisitor. You have the best people, and we're gonna help.
Good.
Inquisitor.
Oh, hey, he needs, there's an operation for him. Alright, we can do that.
No, they don't.
It's just what I heard.
Back, yeah? Always good.
I love that you could just tell her to heck off at any time. Understandably, because she's terrible, but
Tell me about yourself.
she has her moments, I
What
guess.
about me? How about the basics? Where are you from?
Ferelden?
I got that from the accent. Where in Ferelden?
All over? Okay, fine. Denerim for a bit. South, north, wherever I want.
Oh, you're from wherever. I'm from north wherever.
What?
North wherever. Oh, we had fun on street and or in local tavern.
Oh, hardy ha. Oh, funny you. It's complicated. I don't like complicated. Let's leave it at that. Maybe.
Maybe. Oh, leaving the door open. Okay, fine.
You're skilled. Who taught you how to use a bow?
No one.
That seems unlikely.
What? I picked it up here and there. Mostly it just makes sense. It's not like that for you.
It never occurred to you that doing what you do should require some effort.
Well, yeah. I practice. Some. Not like Cullen and his pets. I mean, you miss, then you don't. Is it that hard to see when it's wrong?
Is it an elf thing?
Most I know couldn't find an arrow sitting on it. Right. Maybe I just make it look easy in shite company. Fact still is, no teacher. Where would I find one in alleyways anyway?
I'm not... That's racist.
We'll talk
No.
later.
Also, she would
If he
hate
says so.
asking that question. You despise anyone who asks that question. No way. Alright, let's see.
Have to make sure it's cleared after. Don't need squires losing.
If Cassandra's up to anything while we're here.
What do you need, my friend? May I ask you about the Chantry?
It is difficult to say what becomes of the Chantry now. They have no Templars, no leadership, and no one left who is worthy of succeeding the Divine. It has fallen apart when
That's where you're
everyone needs
wrong,
it the
future
most.
divine.
I ache to think what this will mean in the days to come.
I'm surprised you rebelled against the Chantry.
I left my own order when they took the wrong
so.
path. It is no different. But in neither case did I stop caring. Indeed, I care so much that I feel drastic action is necessary. I suppose history shall one day judge my actions.
It's
Thank you.
interesting because she is kind of leaving the institutional structure. But she's clearly not like abandoning the Chantry.
Legendary skill and stamina. I should like to study one.
Sorry, not Blackwall. Yeah, it's interesting the relationship she has with the Chantry because she is still loyal to the Chantry. It's just that she is not part of its institutional structure anymore. She was. She is in our real world terms, not in Dragon Age terms, but in our real world terms, she's something like an apostate who still holds to the not just the beliefs, but also the power and authority of the Chantry,
Never mind.
which is abnormal.
Thank you.
Oh. Okay.
Samson took everything from those Templars. He corrupted their souls, twisted them into everything they stood against. Everything they would have hated.
I know the Red Templars fight for Corypheus, but I feel sorry for them.
They're barely human now. The Red Lyrium left Samson's mind unaltered. He knew what he was doing. And he dares speak as though it were a mercy? The man's a monster. I pray his information is useful. His life is good for little else.
Samson got what he deserved.
The men and women he betrayed, they deserved something better. Samson deserves nothing. The Red Templars needed to be torn down. We've broken Corypheus' army. I might have known some of them. If my life had gone differently, I might have been one of them. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had not been at the Conclave? If you'd never become the Inquisitor?
On that note, before that note, actually, when he brings up that Samson deserved nothing, it was the victims that deserved justice, it's very admirable, especially in circumstances like this, where he's very clearly driven to hatred and even revenge. It's very admirable that he still has the victims foremost in his mind, and that's, I think, something that gets lost in a lot of discussions of justice, especially criminal justice. Our broadly speaking, retributory justice system almost entirely forgets or neglects or even re-victimizes the victim. And that I think is a grave problem, because again, the goal of justice is to restore things to how they ought to be, because an injustice done, it upsets things. It moves things away from where they ought to be into a new state, into a new corrupt, inappropriate, incorrect state of being. So to do justice is to correct those errors, those failures. And so meaning modern sort of post-Christian Westerners, and even honestly, even a lot of pre-modern Christians, have thought this way as well. But we especially think of justice, doing justice in particular, as punishing the wrongdoer, inflicting harm for harm done, that sort of thing. Or even, maybe if we're a little bit more kind about it, ensuring that further harm cannot be done, stopping harm from occurring. But we never think of righting wrongs. And if we do think of righting wrongs, we think of it in this context that I was just saying, right? Not in the context of restoring. I don't want to say this because it sounds too sort of woo and empty, meaningless nonsense, hippie-like, I guess. But it's a kind of restoring of the balance of things, the way that things ought to be, restoring them to that, to what they ought to be, restoring balance. Again, I hate saying that, but it fits. And that is something that is very hard to keep hold of in any kind of a justice system, particularly in something like open warfare, which is basically what this is. But it's something very important. It's something that we ought to ensure that we are concerned with when we're talking about justice and ensuring justice is done. We have to think of the victims and make sure that the victims are, to the best of our capability, and again, within the limits of justice. And we don't want to commit further acts of injustice in order to do so, but within those limitations, we want to make sure that the victims are restored as best they can be. And this is again why murder is such a heinous crime, is because, and even manslaughter is such a heinous crime, because it cannot be restored through natural means, through human means. Whereas almost anything else can be ultimately restored in some way or another. Death is permanent in a unique way. And so it cannot be restored properly with recompense. This is why sort of ancient societies and classical societies had such harsh penalties for murder, even if they didn't have the Christian concept of the innate and infinite value of human life. Even cultures that didn't have that context still punished murder as, if not the greatest crime, way up there. The only thing above that might, in some societies, might have been treason, because it threatens the social fabric. In some societies, it was specifically kinslaying. It was a higher order form of murder, and there are reasons for that are rather complicated, and they have to do with next of kin, and they have to do with legal standing and stuff like that, especially in sort of the Celtic systems of law, especially in early pre-Christian Irish Brehon law, had a whole system to deal with kinslaying as the gravest offense and the hardest to deal with, because the only way to wind up dealing with it outside the legal system was a blood feud that will go on infinitely and will only destroy, it cannot restore. So things like that. Anyway, it's important. Again, I admire Colin here for remembering the importance of Samson's victims here. And not just remembering that Samson is an evil bastard who needs to be punished horribly, which, fine, okay, good enough. But that there are more fundamental and more important things going on here.
A life without you. Never.
Oh. Love how he just gives the grin in response.
Good afternoon.
Anything new? No.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
No, not really. Anyway, I do hope you look at the other playlists. Some of them are great, and I do a lot of philosophical analysis throughout them. My setup has gotten gradually better over time as well, so forgive me. I had no reliable webcam when I first started doing this in like spring 2020 when everyone got locked in our houses. I more recently got a relatively newish microphone. This one. I just got new headphones. That's new. Things like that. I've been working on my setup just gradually as I've been going through. As I continue doing this. So I like to think that I've improved. Although I will say I've always been relatively decent at this sort of thing, at this sort of holding an ongoing conversation about difficult topics, especially in response to what is going on currently, because I have to do that, right? This is in my view a kind of practice for classroom teaching, because most of my classes are discussion based anyway. And so if I'm doing this with you guys in the evenings, it's the same thing I do in my day job with my students. Is we talk about stuff. When somebody brings something up, I address it. I kind of have to, even if it's not something I'm prepared for, which is probably the most challenging part of teaching. Because honestly, my go-to strategy is whenever I'm going to teach on a topic, any topic, whenever I'm planning a lecture or anything like that, because I know questions are going to come up, because I know clarifications are going to have to happen, and I know that I'm going to get lost and sidetracked, you always should know, in my view, at least 5 to 10 times as much about a subject as you plan on saying. Because 1, you might sidetrack yourself. 2, somebody might get sidetracked for you. And then 3, somebody's going to ask you a question. And it's very helpful, not necessary, but helpful to know the answer. And if you don't know the answer, you better know where to find it. So you can at least point them in the right direction, that sort of thing. Anyway, there's some teaching advice, unsolicited.
Young Templars, I see.
Hey, yes.
Oh, nothing. Just something I find rather adorable about you.
Aw, thanks. Oh gosh. Nothing really. That's it.
I should go.
No.
Try not to kill anyone without me.
Oh, sorry. I've been doing a lot of that. Honestly, Dorian is not usually in my party. But
I'm told you gave the Grey Wardens another chance, Inquisitor. Would I have done the same, I wonder? Forgiveness can be difficult. I hope the Order values what you've done and gives you no reason to regret it.
So too. Also, I will add, even looking at the live stream playlists, don't neglect the philosophical lectures as well. A lot of those are a lot of those are just straightforward course content, but a lot of them are also sort of culturally focused. Most recently, yesterday, I talked about primary and secondary causality and other forms of divine causality, that sort of thing that I was talking about, in the context of narrative storytelling, and how we can look to these theological distinctions to figure out why it is that some stories are well written and others are poorly written. Which is something that, C.S. Lewis pointed out, literary criticism is really hard. I think this is one way of kind of looking at it, is to look at, okay, what way of writing, what sort of literature most closely mirrors the divine act of creation. I think Tolkien got that too. I used Tolkien as an example, hence the thumbnail for that video as well. And then I refer to that one in. I did an almost hour-long analysis of a philosophical and metaphysical analysis of the time travel mechanics in Loki, the Marvel series, which was awful, mostly because of the time travel mechanic and its inverted or at least subversive ethical systems. But that's something I didn't really get into in the video. I'd like to. Maybe someday I will. But that would be a much bigger topic, and it wouldn't just be Loki, unless I decided to use something outdated like that as a case study. I could do. Anyway, look into those. And my advice for any of going through my videos is, if you find something in particular that's interesting, go for it. And if there is a particular philosophical topic as well, I have a lot of things on the stuff that I've taught in class and some of the stuff related to it. Done videos on D&D. I've done videos on Plato's Republic. Got kind of the gamut here. I've done videos on D&D and Plato's Republic. So it's kind of a little of anything. So enjoy, and hopefully learn something as well while you're at it.
I trust everything is well with the mages.
There have been a few scuffles with your Templars, but overall it is going well.
Good.
I'll leave you to it.
All right.
A request has been made of you, Inquisitor. Here it is.
Okay.
What is your evaluation of how we're doing?
I am able to pursue my duties with optimal efficiency, thanks to Skyhold's present state.
As you were?
Yes, Inquisitor.
Other operation available. Good, that's good. What about Liliana? Where's Liliana? Oh, okay.
I was pondering who might be divine, and it suddenly occurred to me. Is it so ridiculous for the Grand Clerics to support me? Why shouldn't they?
If you were divine, what would you do?
Change things. Change everything. Your support of the Mage Rebellion was a good start. We must build on this. No more circles. The mages will be free. The Chantry will accept them as the Maker's children.
Dangerous.
In fact, it will accept everyone. Elves, dwarves, even Canary. Why exclude them? The Chantry allows our differences to tear us apart, instead of teaching us how we are the same.
No! First of all, it doesn't exclude mages. It doesn't exclude people of other races. There are chantries which appeal specifically to elves, dwarves, and I don't see why there couldn't be chantries to appeal to Qunari, assuming a resolution to their holy war. It just restricts the priesthood to human women. And it's for very similar reasons as the restriction of the real-world Catholic priesthood to human men. And again, I'm not... I've speculated about this before when I was playing Mass Effect, as to whether aliens could receive holy orders. Maybe I'll get back to that in a moment. But first of all, it is because priestesses in the Chantry are acting as Andraste. They're acting more or less as Andraste, appealing to the Maker. They're acting in her place. So it's the equivalent of a priest acting in persona Christi, in the person of Christ, enacting the sacrifice of the Eucharist. Forgiving sins, again, in the person of Christ. Acting as Christ to the church. And here, the priestesses are acting as Andraste on behalf of the Chantry to the Maker. It would not make sense for men, or for elves, or for Kunari, or for dwarves to portray Andraste in that way, to take on that role, because it's a very specific role that humans in particular turned away from the Maker in days past, and Andraste beseeched the Maker in particular to come back and support and come back and turn back towards his people. Now, his people here may include all races and all people, but that in particular is a role of human women, in particular a human woman, Andraste, the bride of the Maker, etc. And so to open up the priesthood, which is I think what she's talking about here, to open up the priesthood to non-humans is I think a fundamental misunderstanding of doctrine, not just of ecclesiastical structure or anything like that, but of doctrine. Just like a female priesthood in the Catholic Church would be a fundamental misunderstanding, not just of ecclesiastical structure and of history, but of doctrine. And then there's the problem of mages. Mages are in fact dangerous. We know this. We've seen civilizational structures where mages are free, and they usually tend to rule, like Tevinter, like the ancient Elven kingdoms, Elven Empire. Sorry, the exception to this being dwarves who have no mages, and Kunari, who are even more cruel to their mages than the Chantry. They basically treat them like war machines. So the Chantry is in fact I think the virtuous middle ground with respect to its treatment of mages. Now that can be abusive, like we saw throughout Dragon Age 2. It's extremely, incredibly abusive, and that's what led to this Mage Rebellion, or the Civil War, that kicks off this game. However, the abuse of a norm does not invalidate its proper use. This is a Thomistic principle. Abuse does not override or overrule the proper use. And so I think that Liliana is far, far, far too radical. She's the radical progressive candidate here for Divine of the major three. There's three candidates who are with the Inquisition. There might be other candidates as well. I'm not actually sure. I've only seen these three. But Cassandra is the radical choice. Or sorry, not Cassandra. Liliana is the radical choice. Cassandra is the moderate. The reform candidate, maybe we should say. She thinks that mages should have rights restored to them. She thinks that the right of tranquility should be reserved and then also reversible, because it is metaphysically reversible. We found that out earlier in the game. That sort of thing. But she still wants to maintain the organizational structures of the Chantry. She still wants to maintain the overall rules of the Chantry, maintain the circles, but then also have this additional colleges of Magi where mages have a little bit more freedom, but still under the eye of the Templars and the Chantry. All that, right? And then you have the radical conservative candidate, which is, ironically, oh my god, why can I not remember her name right now? The Orlesian mage in your party. It'll come to me. She is a mage, though, which is the strange part. Because she is for the absolute restoration of the circles, and these being binding on all mages, the almost counter-reform, or almost regressive candidate. And I think that she's off as well. She goes, I think, too far the other direction.
I don't support this.
Well, what's her
there
name?
are better candidates.
I see. Then I should be glad it's not up to you. It's time for change, Inquisitor. The Grand Clerics know that. Justinia wanted the Chantry to grow, but her reforms never took root. She was held back by tradition and was too gentle to force change. I will make that
the maker.
mistake.
You can't force people to change their minds.
Then how will change ever come? People do not simply happen upon enlightenment. Most must be carried there. Justinia thought the circles needed to change. But why stop there? The Chantry alienated potential allies by brutalizing elves and belittling dwarves. If we could bring them into the fold, wouldn't we have peace? There are those who would cling to the old ways, of course, but they will see. I would make them see. But I've rambled on too long. I am not divine, yet.
It's really dangerous. Vivienne. That's who. Vivienne is the more conservative candidate. And she's great, but there's also a bit of a danger there.
Your open support for the mages likely earned you enemies. Our
I know
agents
that.
will monitor the situation. If the most opposed can be identified, we may still turn this to our advantage.
You're always looking for some way to benefit, aren't you?
It's what I'm here for. Regardless, I applaud you for the courage to stand up for the mages.
I'll leave you to your work.
One of the things that I will add, though, about this and about her, I mean, it's really just a statement of conservatism. I will add, but it's Chesterton's fence. If you've heard this principle or this thought experiment, it basically goes that G.K. Chesterton pointed out that you should never tear down a fence unless you know why it was put up in the first place. Because if you don't know why it was put up, if it seems superfluous and unnecessary to you, it may have been. It may have been entirely unnecessary. On the other hand, it may have been crucially necessary, and you don't know why it was necessary, and it may still be necessary. Because if you can't figure out why something was done a certain way in the first place, then you don't know if it's still needed. And this is, again, why we should be cautious in overthrowing ancient traditions, because most ancient traditions had good reasons behind them. We should be very cautious when we overrule them or overturn them. And this is even more dangerous when somebody like Liliana, who knows the reasons behind these ancient traditions, and a lot of them had very good reasons and have very good reasons. Now, some of them, he has a point. He has a point that that attitudes towards other races are a problem, in large part. But that isn't a doctrinal change. At most, that would be a change in how would I say? At most, that would be a change in how different peoples are treated by Chantry authority. Not their place within the organizational structure of the Chantry. That's different.
It's been quite the momentous day, hasn't it, my dear? We should probably give some thought to the very likely possibility that Morrigan will use her new power against us.
What's our plan if she does?
Circle records have limited information on shapeshifting. There are mentions of counterspells that may prevent mages from transforming or from reverting to their true forms. I have my people researching these spells now. If they have ever been documented, I'll find them. The pieces are nearly in place. We'll soon strike against Corypheus directly. You've done well. I will be proud to fight alongside you when the time comes.
You know what I mean? She's very cautious. And in particular, she's very cautious about mages. And even more in particular, she's very cautious about apostate mages, like Morrigan. Because quite frankly, Morrigan is an incredibly dangerous person. And that is, that should be obvious. Especially that should be obvious if anyone played Dragon Age Origins when she was a companion character. She was in the party. She was extremely dangerous. And it also turns out, very minor spoiler, that she had ulterior motives the whole time.
Yes.
But of course she did, though. I mean, that was kind of That should have been obvious from the start there.
You haven't really gone into detail about how you know Leliana.
We met... let me think. We met the last few years of my schooling, but we became friends after I became ambassador to Olay. It seems terrifyingly long ago now.
How exactly did you and Leliana reconnect in the Inquisition?
I discovered my family had been overcharging a merchant we traded with for months. Our name carries a great deal of trust in Antiva. I spent weeks arranging a string of favors as suitable recompense. Apparently satisfied, the merchant extended me an invitation to her estate. Leliana greeted me in place of the merchant.
I assume there was more to it than a strange way to say hello.
It was a test of sorts. Leliana claimed she needed someone of painful integrity for the Inquisition. I accepted, once she finally explained what it was.
Yeah, that is in stark contrast to Leliana's role within the Inquisition, which is painful disintegrity, or at least duplicitousness. She is the spy master, after all.
Do you remain close?
Yes, but she's grown so much more distant than the outgoing woman I met in Valroyo. Leliana used to wander the Orlesian courts, singing the sweetest songs, charming the greatest wits. Now she collects secrets and takes risks that would make empires tremble. I worry, but she will not hear it.
Yeah. Leliana goes through a lot of character changes throughout the series. One such change is dying, potentially. She can die in Origins. I'm not going to say much about how, and I'm not going to say much about how that changes Inquisition, and it's less than you might think, and it's less than I would probably want in terms of narrative changes, but whatever. But she goes from a bard, so basically an Orlesian freelance spy, who is in a sort of weird semi-abusive relationship with her female, I should note, handler, I guess, mentor type person, who is definitely taking advantage of her the entire time. This is largely the story of Leliana's song, that DLC. I jokingly say that DLC is the story of how Leliana decided to stop being a lesbian and be a nun instead. Because then by the time of Dragon Age Origins, the start, when you first meet her, she is she's a cloistered nun. Not a cloistered nun. She's a devoted religious sister who has a weird vision from the Maker, who thinks, contrary to Chantry doctrine, that the Maker is speaking directly to her. And so she thinks that she is destined to help the hero Ferelden, or the Grey Warden, the player character from Origins, help defeat the Blight. And so she's this incredibly optimistic, incredibly devoted religious sister throughout Origins. And then she gradually shifts into being the left hand of the divine. That is this subtle, deadly spy master. Until she gets to this point, where she is now, I think, in the Inquisition, where she is the spy master of the Inquisition. She's not only working for the Divine, that is the leader of the Chantry, but now she's working for a freelance organization, and she's more or less running the show. Yes, the Inquisitor is in charge, player character, Sable. But realistically, Leliana does whatever the heck she wants in the context of the Inquisition. And so, it's... And often, whatever the heck she wants is deadly and dangerous things. So she's grown quite a bit, but also, I would say as well, regressed quite a bit to her old bardic days of when she was a bard. In other words, a sort of freelance spy in Orlais, working for various nobles. Which is a little bit of a shame. I really liked her in Origins, especially. It was good to have the sort of reformed, thief, spy, degenerate, mischief maker, right? The reformed religious person who had these very deep convictions, who was also very passionate about it in a very, very genuine and happy way. And now here, it's part of the interesting part about her character arc is to see how far she's fallen and in what ways, and sort of regressed into her old ways while maintaining those new commitments. Her character journey is really a fascinating one. It's very well written, even if it is tragic in some ways.
Does Leliana confide in you?
She enjoys revisiting our more disastrous adventures. Leliana used to concoct the most ridiculous plans. Run if you ever see her with a twine ball, a measuring stick, and a handkerchief.
Care to explain that?
Let's speak later.
No.
Another time.
Great, you're not going to explain that. Alright. Whatever that could possibly mean. Let's see. It is genuinely very strange to me that that I'm missing shards somehow. I don't know how. Hastily scribbled letter from the quartermaster. While I would never question the wisdom of the Inquisitor in such a contentious
Has either
time.
of you noticed the change in Morrigan? I fear for her.
Fear for her, rather than fearing what she will do. You do care.
I would have concern for anyone who came into contact with that thing.
And, you went on a big cross-country adventure with her a few years ago. That was Dragon Age Origins. You were both party members. You hung out a lot. Anyway. If we are to insist on relying on mercenaries acting in our names, I would ask that they represent us properly. We can't be seen to employ the poorly equipped in the Inquisition. More exactly, I cannot. I humbly request permission to outfit the crew Sutherland leads. Saarebas. It would take little to have them look like the hidden arm they could be. They represent us, they should reflect our influence. He wishes them formidable, make them formidable. Let's do heavy armor, I like this. Yeah. Big damn heroes, that's what we're gonna be. Thank you for the indulgence. I've outfitted Sutherland and his small crew and equipment more appropriate to agents of the Inquisition. Given their humble origins, it is doubtful they have ever seen the like. Saarebas. Wonderful. Continuing her predecessor's work. A neatly filled request form, copied in triplicate and delivered to the appropriate parties. Request. An assortment of flora from southern Ferelden and eastern Orlais, including several uncommon varieties, see attached list. Tissue samples from several uncommon herbivores, see attached list. Access to an accurate map of southern Thedas and recorded salvage from Haven. Purpose. My predecessor, Menave, was studying alterations in feeding and migration patterns in several species, following the appearance of the breach. Her work was left incomplete. I would finish it. Signed, Helisma Darrington, Inquisition researcher. This is the Tranquil. The Tranquil who is helping with research. It would be faster to purchase the missing items than hunt them down. My agents could see. Yeah, that's true. I can contact the University of Orlais, see if they have additional materials. Our soldiers can gather any outstanding items. It'll double as a training exercise. Yeah, let's do a training exercise. I tend to like Cullen's ideas.
All right.
Current progress and findings. Certain herbivores appear especially sensitive to disruptions caused by the rifts. Migration and mating habits have been impacted. Ramifications on predator behavior apparent, but warrant further study. Additional notes. In studying alterations in animal behavior, I have uncovered something the Inquisition soldiers may find useful. Human behavior is similarly unpredictable. I'll continue to pursue this line of research until otherwise noted. Helisma Darrington, Inquisition research. Okay. Alright then. Anything else new at all? No. Doesn't seem like it. Nope, that's it. Alright. No. Gone back and chatted with just about everyone. We didn't talk to Blackwall. We should go speak to... Oh, and Varric. Yeah, we should speak to both Varric and Blackwall. We missed them. They're important. Before we continue.
Need something? Or are you just here to admire the dwarf?
Haha.
Tell me more about Bianca.
I'm not making any promises here. Ask.
So how long have the two of you been together?
Well, if you want to split hairs, we're not. Usually there's a continent between us at all times. We write letters. Now and then we manage to meet up. I don't know if that's together. Shit, it's been what, 15 years? Great. Now I feel old. Thanks.
How do you know Bianca? The lady, I mean, not the crossbow.
I met her years ago when she still lived in Kirkwall, and I was looking for someone with mechanical skills. Bianca is, beyond a doubt, the most brilliant smith you'll ever meet. I haven't seen her since she got married and moved to Orlais.
Bianca is married? Somehow I thought the two of you had a history.
Bianca's family are Kalnas. Surface dwarves, so conservative they don't take a piss without asking the ancestors first. They picked out a smith caste boy for her. Wealthy, respected, has a great anvil collection. The perfect husband. I heard the wedding was lovely. The one Bianca actually showed up for, anyway.
Reminds me of the one she showed up for. Bit reminds me of Robin Williams' character in Flubber. Misses his own wedding like 3 times.
What makes the Merchants Guild such a danger to her?
Well, to be fair, it's more of a danger to me. Technically, we're not supposed to be within 300 leagues of one another. If it got back to the guild that we were seen together, they'd freeze my assets and then have me killed. Maybe not in that order.
What in the world did you do to cause that?
We almost started a clan war. Does it matter? I can't change it now.
I'm super curious.
I guess that's it for now.
But fine.
I'll be here.
Alright, fine. Before we talk to Morrigan, let's go and talk to Blackwall. After jumping off of things. Oh, and Cole. I always forget Cole, but that's kind of the point.
It's lies, you know. I didn't say anything. I wouldn't. Fairbanks is still out there. It's lies. You'll all see.
Is it so bad that he has a name and a face?
That's not what he is. Who he is. Not to me.
Oh yeah, Fairbanks, the Robin Hood character. We met and helped reveal he was a noble.
At your service.
Noble in hiding. Yeah, nothing new.
Nothing right now. Perhaps in a bit.
Thanks, Blackwall. Alright, now, we will go... Oh,
it's good to know we're doing something worthwhile.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's sell things. Oh, wait, we are full of money. Never mind. We have maximum monies. Alright, now let's go talk to Morrigan.
Inquisitor.
We also didn't finish any of these mosaics. Not that I really expected to. I never do. I don't think I've ever even completed one of these mosaics. I've played this game probably 6 times. It's one of those collection quests. It's a huge pain.
The center of all creation. Maker, my enemies are abundant. Many are those who rise up against me, but my faith sustains me. I shall not fear the legion should they set themselves against
Inquisitor, thank the Maker you're here.
What happened?
Morrigan chased after her son into the Illuvian. She was terrified.
She was chasing Kieran.
She said he activated the mirror somehow, and then she ran into it. I've never seen Morrigan like that. You must go after her. I will find help, Inquisitor.
Okay, I guess. Kieran, the child with the soul of an old god. Just ran into the mirror. Into the crossroads or the fade?
Wait,
Great.
this isn't the crossroads.
No.
This is the Fade. How did the Illuvian lead here? Can it go anywhere?
Not supposed to be able to, but it clearly can. Ooh. Unpleasant. Nightmarish, even. Which makes sense, really. Come here without my weapons. Don't know if I like that. Oh no, I have them. That looks even cooler. I love it. All right.
Morrigan! Go back! I must find Kieran before it's too late.
Let me help you.
Why would Kieran do this? How could he do this? We stand in the Fade. To direct the Illuvian here would require immense power. If he is lost to me now after all I have sacrificed...
We'll find him, Morrigan. He can't be far.
Can he?
The Fade is infinite. He could literally be anywhere. Whatever happens to him now, 'tis my doing. I set him on this path. Please, help me look, Inquisitor. Just a little longer.
Yeah. Okay. Weird that there's dwarven structures in the Fade. The Fade being the land of dreams that dwarves cannot access, given that dwarves both can't dream and can't do magic. The realm of magic and dreams. And here is Red Lyrium. All the more troubling. Red Lyrium is bad enough in the real world. In the Fade, that's... It means that there are certain terrible things around. These are statues of, what's her name? The, Knight Commander Meredith. In the previous game. It looks like.
There he is!
Who's with him?
That's...
Mother!
Mother. Now, isn't this a surprise?
So this is all some kind of family reunion.
Mother, daughter, grandson. It rather warms the heart, does it not?
Kieran is not your grandson. Let him go.
As if I were holding
Kind
a
of.
boy hostage. She's always been ungrateful, you see.
Ungrateful! I know how you plan to extend your life, wicked crone. You will not have me, and you will not have my son.
That's quite enough. You'll endanger the boy.
What have you done to me?
I have done nothing. You drank from the well of your own volition.
You... Armthal.
So do you remember a very long time ago? Like, probably a year ago, in real time. I mean, Osby, you don't. You weren't here for this, but... Upon rewatching, you'll notice this bit. When I mentioned... when we meet... The second time we meet... Morgan's mother. In Dragon Age 2. It's Hawke. We meet her, by placing what is effectively a phylactery, some little token of hers, on an altar, an elven altar, and resummoning her. The elven altar was an altar of Mythal, if we might recall. So this was an altar of Mythal, and she had been at that point killed by Morrigan. Well, and by Morrigan and the hero of Ferelden, our player character in Origins. And so what we basically were doing was we were holding a little lifeboat for her essence, and then giving it back form on her altar. We didn't know this at the time, like at all. We had no idea what was going on when we did this. But here we are. She also says something along the lines of, be ready for great change to come and to be brought about by a mysterious being or something like that. All of which was foreshadowing this right here. Not just her being Mythal, but also that she has some plans and designs upon Kieran, who is the son of Morrigan, who was to take her place. Sort of. And then who also possesses the soul of Euthemiel. Not the soul, the essence, I suppose, of Euthemiel, who is the old god, or Tevinter god, the Tevinter dragon god of beauty. Whatever her plans are with Euthemiel, or his essence, from Kieran, whatever her plans are as Mythal, whatever her plans are of coming back, we still don't know. There's a little more that we wind up learning in Trespasser, but for now, I just want to point out how well this was set up, and for how long.
You can't be Mythal. That's not possible.
Explain to me, dear girl, why I cannot be what I am.
Mythal was an elven god. You're...
Human? Not a word many have used for me in a very long time.
I mean, she is a shapeshifter.
I'm sorry, Mother. I heard her calling to me. She said now was the time.
I do not understand.
Once I was but a woman, crying out in the lonely darkness for justice. And she came to me, a wisp of an ancient being, and she granted me all I wanted and more. I have carried Mythal through the ages ever since, seeking the justice denied to her.
That could have been a demon lying to you.
You hear the voices of the well, girl. What do they say?
They say you speak the truth.
But what was Mythal? A legend-given name and called a god? Or something more? Truth is not the end, but a beginning. A herald indeed, shouting to the heavens, harbinger of a new age.
Like I said.
As for me, I have had many names, but you may call me Flemeth.
I know the name Flemeth. It belongs to an ancient Ferelden legend. It says long ago you left your husband for a lover. Your husband then tricked you, killed your lover, and imprisoned you. Then a spirit came to offer you vengeance. Mythal. That's what you spoke of.
One day someone will summarize the terrible events of your life so quickly.
Yeah, I think so.
But yes, I was that woman. That is how my tale began.
Flemeth appears in other legends, helping heroes for reasons of her own.
I nudge history when it's required. Other times, a shove is needed.
With Hawke, for example.
If Mythal is within you, why not reveal yourself?
And to whom should I reveal myself?
To the elves, to everyone.
I knew the hearts of men even before Mythal came to me. It is why she came to me. They do not want the truth, and I am but a shadow, lingering in the sun.
That headpiece is, first of all, a couple things about the headpiece. One, the spire bit right at the top, this thing, very reminiscent of iconography of Andraste. So there's been some speculation that Andraste herself was also carrying this shard of Mythal, that she was more or less Mythal. I don't know if I like that. I don't think that's actually correct. Her story is somewhat reminiscent of what we just heard of Flemeth. Not exactly. She didn't cheat on her husband or anything like that, but her husband did betray her. So I guess it's vaguely reminiscent. And Dragonade fans want to speculate. They're very, 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 very prone to wild speculation. So that's a theory. That's a fan theory. Not one that I really subscribe to, but there's a superficial similarity at least. The other thing about the headpiece is, my god, those cheek spikes do not look comfortable, especially given that they're clipping. Which tells me that if you were really wearing that, those would be constantly stabbing, like right here. That does not sound like a good time.
Why did Mythal come to you?
For a reckoning that will shake the very heavens.
And you follow her whims? Do you even know what she truly is?
You seek to preserve the powers that were, but to what end? It is because I taught you, girl. Because things happened that were never meant to happen. She was betrayed as I was betrayed, as the world was betrayed. Mythal clawed and crawled her way through the ages to me, and I will see her avenged. Alas, so long as the music plays, we dance.
I'm not entirely sure what all that meant. I think I know, and I think it has to do with the betrayal of the Dreadwolf. But I'm not completely sure. Because the Dreadwolf was not said to have betrayed Mythal. Betrayed the other elven gods. Mythal was killed by the other elven gods. So maybe it's that? Maybe it has something to do with the other Evanuris?
So you lured us here. What do you want?
One thing, and one thing only.
I have to go now, Mother.
No. I will not allow it.
He carries a piece of what once was, snatched from the jaws of darkness. You know this.
He is not your pawn, Mother. I will not let you use him.
Have you not used him? Was that not your purpose? The reason you agreed to his creation?
That was then. Now he is my son. Flemeth extends her life by possessing the bodies of her daughters, Inquisitor. That was the fate she intended for me. I thwarted her, and now she intends to have Kieran instead.
Wait, the way she talked about Kieran...
I am not the only one carrying the soul of a being long thought lost.
He is more than that, Mother.
As am I. Yet do you hear me complain? Our destinies are not so easily avoided, dear girl.
Mother, I have to.
You do not belong to her, Kieran. Neither of us do.
Morrigan is expressing, I think, a very good point here, very powerful point, is that we often think of ourselves, and even more so, we think of others, in terms of what we are. What abilities we have, where we come from, what we do, role we have, role we embody. But there is more to any given person. And that's the person. Person is. Fundamentally is. And that unique and important personhood is what makes each and every one of us utterly valuable and irreplaceable. Not what we are, not what we possess, not even what we do. And I think that Morrigan is another character here who has grown and evolved so much throughout the series. She wasn't even, if I remember correctly, she wasn't even in Dragon Age 2. But between Origins and Inquisition, she develops so much, especially having been a mother. Because, as it's kind of indicated here, Aaron, when he was first conceived, was conceived as a tool, according to Flemeth's plans. Flemeth had sent Morrigan along with the Grey Wardens, expressly for the purpose of embodying the essence or the soul of Uthimiel, this old god, in this child, upon killing the Archdemon at the end of Dragon Age Origins. I mean, a little spoilery, but this is kind of the ultimate, one of the major twists. And Morrigan was all about it. All along, the whole way. She even flees from you, the player character, if you were in a relationship with her, if you were intending to be together with her. After conceiving this son, she leaves, and Witch Hunt is about tracking her down. And if you were playing a male Grey Warden, and you are in a relationship with her, and Kieran is your son, that DLC has so much more meaning, because you're following your love and your son, tracking them down, that you eventually can go with them. And that shows the start of this change within Morrigan. She doesn't, at that point, it seems like she still has plans and designs that having to do with her son and the magic within him and all that. But it's starting to show that she just wants to go somewhere safe to raise him, at least for now. And we see by this point, that's been her goal since then. That has been the one main thing that she's pursued the entire time. And at this point, yes, she's a bog witch. Yes, she's a shapeshifter. Yes, she's a very strange scholar of ancient magic. Yes, she's an advisor to empresses. Yes, she's all of these things. But most importantly and most prominently to her is her relationship to her son. And that allows her to see Kieran for who he is, not what he is. And it's that intimate human relationship that reveals us to ourselves and to each other. Now she sees herself not just as all of these roles she plays, but she is who she is. She is Morrigan. She sees Kieran as who he is, not just as the child who possesses the essence of Ephemiel or someone of great magical power or anything like that. No, he's Kieran. He matters for himself, his own sake, for nothing else. Well, not for nothing else, but everything else pales in comparison in terms of importance. Man, that's something that is hard to see. But I think parenthood is a phenomenal way of discovering that sort of thing gradually, but it is there. And now, of course, you can have this realization otherwise, but having a close, intimate, and especially familial relationship, a familial tie with someone, will help you to see them, not as what they are, but who they are, like I keep saying. And I think it's an important thing for us to remember about ourselves and about people around us, that every thou, every you, every he or she is also an I. You're all subjects. We are all individuals. We are all agents. We each have a spark of the infinite within us. And that has nothing to do with what we do. It has nothing to do with our attributes, our abilities, our relationship, anything like that. Man, that importance of each individual is, it's otherwise perhaps hard to see. And sometimes we forget it. It's very easy to forget it, especially in our world today, where we anonymize ourselves to each other very, very often. And we play roles. First and foremost, we are a role that we play before others. Erica says, I don't understand what this has to do with the situation. Why does Flemeth want him? I don't understand what's going on. So Flemeth wants him for this, something to do with the soul of Ithemiel, the old god that he has within him, the soul or the essence or whatever. Now, what she wants with that is super unclear at this point, and it's even super unclear by the end of the game. She wants something to do with this. This is some kind of power that she is seeking. But it's not really clear, to me at least. I agree. It's not really clear what she wants. But this is clearly what she has wanted from the beginning. Now, Morrigan thinks that she wants him to possess him, but to add the power that she has as Mythal to the power that Kieran has as Euthemiel, and for her to become a super god. But it's not, well, okay, so Erica says it's the nebulous, I'm evil, so I want to kidnap your child. Well, first of all, she is a bog witch. That's important to remember. But I like, at least in this case, that they do give some explanation as to why she wants to kidnap a child. She kidnapped Morrigan as a child so that she could eventually possess her as a form of immortality. Or something like that. She seems to kind of deny that in a little bit. We'll get to that. But she wants Kieran... Right, Morrigan assumes that that's what she wants to do to Kieran. To possess him and to take on his power for herself. But what she clearly wants, and this is going to be revealed a little bit more, but what she clearly wants is his power. Something to do with his power. She wants to take that out for her own. Now, why? I don't know. It's not about the kid, though. It's about the soul that's inside him. That divine, or not divine, but that essence of Euthemiel, this old god. This Tevinter old god. She has more to say about this, right? And there's more to it than this. But whatever it is, it has to do with this sort of divine essence or whatever it is. It's again, it seems purely that possessing this shard of, I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm evil. It's because I want power. Power of some kind. Erica asks, why does he want to go? That's a good question. I think it kind of seems to me as if his, it has something to do with either her manipulating this bit of the old god within him, or perhaps it is something to do with maybe there's a kind of a kinship between them, because each of them possesses the spirit of an ancient powerful entity or something. Maybe, I don't know. Something like that. It could be that she just somehow gained some control over him, which is possible too. That seems like the kind of thing that a creepy old bog witch would do. Who's also an ancient elven god of some kind. Eric asks, is he brainwashed? Why is the kid going, see ya, Mom, I'm going with the obviously evil witch, who's probably going to suck the power and life out of me and probably kill me? Yeah, I mean, it seems like he is corrupted, brainwashed, controlled, something like that. That's what it seems like to me, and that's what I think is being implied. But then, of course, Morrigan can't do anything about it because she drank from the Well of Souls, or the Well of Sorrows, this font of Mythal's power in the temple. This was some time ago, for gameplay terms. She absorbed all of this power and knowledge, but it was the power and knowledge of Mythal, which means that she is, she knew this in advance. She would be under the power and sway of Mythal, She just didn't expect Mythal to show up in the guise of her evil mother. So she walked into that trap. Hard. Also, the player character can do that instead, and I've done a playthrough of that once, where basically Flemeth takes control of the player character and uses her as a hostage instead. Let's see.
If Kieran is so special, why did you wait until now to come for him?
I did not know where he was. Morrigan cleverly hid him from me. Until now.
'Twas the well.
There we go.
Always grasping beyond your reach, despite all that I taught you.
Whatever else you think he is, Kieran is still a child.
And so much better behaved than his mother was at his age.
Kieran,
As you wish. Hear my proposal, dear girl. Let me take the lad, and you are free of me forever. I will never interfere with or harm you again. Or keep the lad with you, and you will never be safe from me. I will have my due.
he returns with me.
Decided so quickly.
Do whatever you wish. Take over my body now if you must, but Kieran will be free of your clutches. I am many things, but I will not be the mother you were to me.
No more dreams?
No more dreams. A soul is not forced upon the unwilling, Morrigan. You were never in danger from me. Listen to the voices. They will teach you, as I never did.
Wait!
So, I think what just happened is that she just took the soul of Euthemiel from Kieran. Anyway. And that now Morrigan is still under her sway because she drank from the Well of Sorrows and the whole Mythal thing. But also, it's implied that she was not going to take over Morrigan. My interpretation of this is that what she was going to do was she was going to pass on the spirit of Mythal to Morrigan
Are you all
at some
right,
point.
Kieran? You are not hurt?
And that's where the immortality is. It's the spirit of Mythal, not her personally.
She wanted the old god soul all along. Is it worth reminding myself that perhaps I do not know everything after all?
Yes.
My mother has the soul of an elven goddess, or whatever Mythal truly was, and her plans are unknown to me.
So Kieran had the soul of an old god.
Taken from the archdemon at the final battle of the Fifth Blight. Yes, he has never known anything else. I'm uncertain what effect this will have on him.
But why did you...
I told you at the temple, the magic of old must be preserved, no matter how feared. Kieran had a destiny, and now it is in Flemeth's hands. I suppose we shall see what she does with it.
You truly had no idea what she was?
I knew she kept the truth from me. I even suspected she was not truly human, but this... I always thought the so-called elven gods were little more than glorified rulers, but now... I have doubt.
Don't worry, Morrigan, you were right.
Doubt is... An uncomfortable thing, Inquisitor. Just be thankful you did not drink from the well. I am evidently tied to my mother for eternity.
So, okay, so let me go all the way through. Best I understand this whole situation, because my god, is it complicated. Because this is a little situation that spans all 3 games, takes up a central place in all 3 of them, but just how central it was doesn't show up until, like, not even now, till the end of Trespasser. Even now, this seems kind of superfluous. This seems like a Morrigan thing, not like a, this is the central plot of the game kind of thing. But it really kind of is. And it's also especially weird, given that this doesn't have to happen. Depending on how you play Dragon Age Origins, this can be very different. Like, Kieran might not have the soul of an old god. So, I don't know what the hell happens there. Anyway, so what happens, so, the whole story. Flemeth sends Morrigan with the hero of Ferelden, the player character in Origins. The reason she sends her with the hero of Ferelden, Morrigan thinks that it's so she can gain enough experience and become a sufficiently powerful vessel for her to possess. So, Morrigan and the hero of Ferelden go back, kill Flemeth in Dragon Age Origins. It turns out that why Flemeth sent Morrigan along was so that she could conceive this old god baby, Kieran, to take possession of the soul or the essence of Euthemiel, the archdemon and who is leading the 5th Blight. That was really what she wanted this whole time. And unbeknownst to Morrigan at the time, and unbeknownst to the hero Ferelden at the time, she had sent that little weird token thing I was talking about with Hawke, who, when he got to, actually sometime after he got to Kirkwall, goes outside the city, goes to the elven camp, goes up a mountain, Sundermount, goes up to a shrine of Mythal, places it there, and she is resummoned. She's not dead anymore. Basically a phylactery in, like, lich terms. So she's back. Cool. Then, now that she is back, and Morrigan has this child, Morrigan is hiding with the hero of Ferelden and Kieran, mostly in the crossroads, that place where the mirrors go to. That's sort of in between the real world and the Fade, something like that. Okay, cool so far. Cool so far. Now, Morrigan joined up with the Inquisition. They get to this ancient temple of Mythal, where Corypheus was trying to get the Alluvian, so he could get into the Fade, like we just did. Because that's his whole goal, getting into the Fade. The key to the Alluvian was the Well of Sorrows, this pool of magical knowledge linked to Mythal. Morrigan, because she's all about ancient secrets, decides to bathe in the pool and absorb its secrets, so that Corypheus can't get it. She succeeds. She gets all these ancient secrets of Mythal, all in her little head. Okay? She's immensely powerful now. Cool. However, she knew from the Guardians of the Temple, they told her, they informed her that taking on this power came with a price, and that price was that you are forever bound to the will of Mythal. She didn't think that this was a big deal. After all, Mythal is dead, or so she thought. Mythal, of all the elven gods, of all the Evan-Uris, was said to be dead, long dead. Died at the downfall of the elven civilization. So she didn't think this was a big deal. However, she didn't know that Mythal was actually Flemeth, her mom. Flemeth, what she really wanted all along, seems to have been, 1, the power of Euthemiel, this ancient Tevinter god, the dragon god. And then 2, to pass on, at least that's the implication I'm taking from what just happened, is that she wanted to pass on the essence of Mythal to Morrigan at some point. And so live on that way. Not by taking possession of her and taking on her body, and just like stealing her body, but rather by passing on her divine essence, this essence of mythal, this spirit that she has had and has presumably had for generations, and has done this countless times before. But Morgan was interpreting this as her taking over her body, just sort of overshadowing her, which is not quite the case. At least it wasn't according to what we just heard from Flemeth. Again, as I interpret it. This is like I said, this is an incredibly complex situation. And then something else happens involving this whole ordeal at the end of Trespasser, which is all about the ancient elven gods. And so it's about Mythal. It's about the other Evaneris. It's about the Dreadwolf. All that stuff. Erica says, my question is why she didn't just take the Defender God from the kid instead of trying to literally kidnap the whole kid. Oh, well, that's how she got access to the kid, I guess. As for why she wanted to kidnap the kid and gave Morrigan that ultimatum, hell if I know. I don't know. Evil Bog Witch. Also, probably, you're right, probably to be an ass to Morrigan. That I don't know. I can't tell you why she wanted to take Kieran. I don't know, maybe if we want to be overly charitable, it was to give Morrigan the chance to say no, so that, like, she could heroically stand up for her son or something? I don't know. Maybe if we're being overly charitable, it's something like that. Teaching Morrigan a nice lesson. Yeah. I don't know. I'm being way too nice to Flemeth, who is pretty unquestionably evil. Then again, from what we know, from what we know now and what we wind up finding out more as later, Mythal, in her original form as an elven god, was not evil. She wasn't like this. So maybe a lot of this is kind of an act or a lesson or something. Or maybe Flemeth herself is kind of an ass. And that's corrupted Mythal, or the spirit of Mythal. Because we know that. We know that when spirits come into the real world, they can become affected very strongly by the emotions and personalities of the people they either possess or are around. We saw this with Justice, who became a spirit of vengeance in Awakening, and then Dragon Age 2 with Anders. Erica says, I think the writers were just getting ahead of themselves at that point. Needed an out for the player. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, there needed to be a way for her to get the spirit of Euthamiel, but also for Morrigan to stick around and not just swear eternal vengeance and just go ham after Flemeth. Yeah, so maybe they did write themselves into a corner a little bit, so they had to do the little, like, ultimatum thing. Although at the same time, I guess they could have just said, oh, well, okay, well, here's the thing. All I don't actually want the child. I just want this. And she just takes the spirit. That seems like that would be the way that this happens, but I don't know. Again, I'm not the writer. And I don't know where this is going either. That's the other thing. This is a plot line that hasn't ended yet. This is becoming more and more important for the main story, and there's another major point of this at the end of Trespasser, the DLC. So we'll get to that. But for now, you're right. I don't quite understand all of the whys and wherefores as for what all the characters were thinking, particularly Flemeth. I also do think, and this is maybe more critical eye, is that Flemeth is one of those cases where the writers are writing the inscrutable genius with myriad plans upon plans upon plans upon plans, and that the player, you simpleton, you cannot understand their true motives. But the problem is that you can't write a character smarter than you, and that the writers are not as smart as they want to portray Flemeth as being. So maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's what's going on, at least in part. So I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. It could be. It could be just, the writers trying to throw smoke up the player. Maybe that's it. But that's probably part of it, honestly. Yes, let's definitely encourage her that she's doing good. She's having problems.
For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing.
Did I? She was testing me.
Well,
And
there
I
you go,
cannot tell
maybe.
whether I passed.
She's playing serious Thanatos Gambit? Yeah, kind of. Kind of.
Now we must prepare to face Corypheus himself.
Heads I win, tails you lose style
It
things.
seems Mother
Yeah.
was right. The voices of the well tell me I will be able to match his dragon. All that remains is for you to find him.
I think it's Thanatos, isn't it? Or is it Xanatos? You might be right. Look it up. Look it up for me. Now it's going to bug me.
Those who bear false
The guy from
witness and work
Gargoyles.
to deceive others know this.
Your worship.
There is but
Oh, okay.
one truth. All things are known to our Maker.
Though I am flesh, your light is ever present. Those I have called they remember, and they shall endure. I shall sing with them the chant, and all will know we are yours, and none will stand before us. I really do like the writing for what we have of the Chant of Light. It might actually, now that I think about it, it might be Xanatos. Might be Xanatos. I don't remember. Genuinely don't remember.
Your worship.
Let me see if Eric has name. Oh, it is Xanatos. Okay.
Your inquisitorialness.
Oh, Thanatos is manipulating your own death. Oh, okay. Okay.
Carry on.
Yeah, Thanatos Gambit is like when you like allow yourself to be killed in order to fulfill your plans or something like that. That kind of thing. Okay. Xanatos Gambit is where you have a where you set yourself up a win-win scenario where regardless of what the other party does, either scenario is a victory for you. Now there's another variant which is Xanatos Speed Chess, where you are able to react quickly enough to any developments that and anticipate enough to any developments of the other party, such that you're able to circumvent their attempted circumventions. Basically, you're capable of making very quick plans. In other words, it's kind of Batman's power. I'll put an article. Wait, I'm supposed to talk to them. Right? Yeah, let me write some of this down. I'm gonna see if I can, because I swear I remember there was an episode of Split the Veil that Dragon Age and Mass Effect, but generally BioWare podcast that goes into some of the stuff about Flameth and Morrigan and all that. And I'll see if I can find it. And then Xanatos Gambit. There's a TV tropes page on it that's very good and very descriptive and gives a lot of good examples, as TV tropes pages are wont to do. I'll put all that, if I can find all of it, in the description, as well as for Discord too. Oh hey, I should save. Doom upon all the world. Let me save first. This is kind of endgame stuff. I have 40 minutes. Can I do this? Can I finish it? Oh my god. Oh my god, I might actually finish the game tonight. What was that? 117 hours in. Yeesh. Yeah, let's do it. This isn't the end. This is not the final chapter. This is the one right before it. With his forces routed, now is the time to find Corypheus before he can recover and force him out into the open. Warning, this starts event... Oh, the lead to the end of the story. Continue to play the game afterwards, but some content may not be available. Oh, it is the... Oh, yeah, we might actually finish this. With his forces routed, now is the time... Oh, we already said this. Yeah, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Did you
find what you need, Morrigan?
I can match the Darkspawn Magister's dragon. Yes. As for matching Corypheus, that is up to you, Inquisitor.
I'm eager to try.
Then all that remains is to find Corypheus before he comes to us.
We've been looking for his base since all this began, with no success.
His dragon must come and go from somewhere.
Oh, what about the deep roads? We could send word to Orzammar, hire envoys to...
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. How did you do that?
It seems Corypheus is not content to wait.
He's in the Valley of Sacred Ashes.
You either close the breach once more, or it swallows the world.
But that's madness. Wouldn't it kill him as well?
How did he reopen it?
Inquisitor, we have no forces to send with you. We must wait for them to return from the Arbor Wilds.
I must go now, before it's too late.
I mean, to be fair, I've been dicking around in the Rossback base for quite some time. They should have had time to return, but whatever. Okay, endgame boss time. Let us bring Cassandra, Blackwall, because they're going to be useful, and let's go Vivienne. No, Solus. Yeah, Solus, primarily because he needs to be there for plot. No, he'll be there for plot reasons. Everyone goes. Everyone's there. I think. I really hope that's true. I'm going to bring Vivienne for optimization purposes. Let's go. So this is the end game. I thought so. I didn't think so. I was wrong. I thought that there was something else before this. Yeah. Chant for the departed. The light shall lead her safely through the paths of this. They don't give me enough time in the loading screens. Not something I usually would complain about. Ooh. Where is this? This isn't Haven.
Tell me, where is your maker now? Call him. Call down his wrath upon me.
Oh.
You cannot, for he does not exist. I am Corypheus.
He still has the orb.
I shall deliver you from this lie in which you linger. Bow before your new god and be spared.
Never!
As you wish.
Ooh. Terror demons.
I knew you would come.
It ends here, Corypheus.
And so it shall.
That ain't right. I guess this is the ruins of the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
You have been most successful in foiling my plans, but let us not forget what you are. A thief in the wrong place at the wrong time, an interloper, a gnat.
I love his
We
voice.
shall prove here, once and for all, which of us is worthy of godhood.
I'm the Maker's chosen.
Thanks, Morrigan.
A dragon! How clever of you! It will avail you nothing. You will fall as a warning to those who oppose my divine will. Enough! I will destroy you where you stand.
Ow. Ow.
I'm falling back!
What's with the weird mushrooms?
Look at you, a socio-political, nipping at the heels of your betters. You are nothing. All you love will be ground under the Imperium. You dare to touch an avatar of divinity.
Oof, ouchies. I think I'm going to open the next round with a Fade Rift. That's what it's called. My focus ability. I love the dragon fight. Oh hey, I can level up to the end. Just in case. Wow, I have more? Guess I'll get Fire Mine. Might as well get it. Can't save, but let's keep moving. Alright, here we go. Yeah, I have a half an hour. I think we can beat him. Yeah, this boss fight shouldn't take that long, especially because pretty consistently, I have been wildly overleveled every time I've gotten to this boss fight.
You placed your bet on the wrong champion, Chantry Mage. You are a fool. If you desire
And
death,
you are a relic,
you shall
best
have it.
forgotten.
We didn't have time for all the dialogue with that. I love doing that kind of damage to bosses. Oh, Oregon, no. Oh. Blood. That's a lot of blood. I'm assuming we have to fight this now. Yeah, okay.
Witch could be alive. We have to help her.
There's a dragon trying to kill us! And one there who will help us.
Oh gosh, where'd it go? Okay. Nice. Honestly, the kill animation for the sword in Origins.
Let it end here!
Was kind of cool.
Let the skies boil! Let the world be rent asunder!
The thing where Alistair finishes off the dragon in Origins is honestly probably a bit cooler than that.
I will not yet fall!
I disagree. With all due respect. We didn't need any potions for that fight. Holy crap.
The breach is getting bigger! So it is! Kill him before he destroys the veil!
Oops. Ah!
I need
Bot! Kill it!
There! My power is restored!
No! There we go. Thanks, son. Good job. Good kill.
Not like this! I have walked the halls of the Golden City, crossed the ages. Do not, ancient ones, I beseech you.
Sorry, man. Dumat is dead.
Truly existed, aid me now.
Dumat is dead. I recall he was the first archdemon in the first Blight, and he was killed. Oh, that's very bad.
You wanted into the Fade?
Seems a little unwise, but... Alright. This is why I thought about bringing Solus, but it doesn't really matter for the fight, because he's here anyway.
Solus?
The orb.
Corypheus is dead. That's the important thing.
Yet so much has been lost.
There's more, isn't there?
It was not supposed to happen this way, no matter what comes. I want you to know you shall always have my respect.
Inquisitor, are you alive?
Victorious, I see. What a novel result. And
You
it
were
seems
here
the breach
for the Battle of
finally
Denerim.
closed.
Come on, Morrigan.
Looks that way.
Not that
What
novel.
do we do now?
Darn, my Solus.
We go back to Skyhold.
I really hope this is not enough to get me copyright struck, so I'm going to talk over it a little bit, as much as I hate to do that. Because the music in this is awesome, and the musical moments in this are so good, but the copyright bastards, they always withdraw them if I challenge them, but it takes a while, and it's annoying, and they run ads on my stuff, and I hate it. Anyway. Their demons are vulnerable to fire damage. I know that. Still, though. They're annoying. They're probably my least favorite demons. Which, I mean, demons are already not great. I don't like them very much. But man, despair demons. Those are the frost blasty ones. Irritating beyond belief. Alright, let's see. And almost the whole crew is back. Again, with the exception, of course, of Solus, who went off his own way, I suppose. I love how this kind of mirrors the I call it a coronation, I guess, of the Inquisitor, when you're declared Inquisitor and you stand up here and you heft the sword or bear your blade, as the song would say. Which, again, that was like midday. This is midnight. Both times it was right after closing the breach. It's great. Oh, you would have turned down the game using OBS? Well, it would cut me out. So hold on. Yeah, well, now you're right. It's probably too late. I can just turn off the game music in OBS. Like that. There's no dialogue yet, so I'm fine. When it gets back to dialogue, I'll bring it back, if there is any. Oh, a butterfly. Or a dragonfly? A dragonfly would be appropriate. Alright, let's see.
A moment, my lady. My agents have found
we'll
no
see.
trace of Solus.
I hope we're fine.
He has simply vanished. If he does not wish to be found, there's likely nothing we can do. But I will keep looking.
It's odd that he would just leave without a word.
Those two
You said
often
he
were
was
so
upset
similar.
about the orb.
That can't be the only reason.
And we know the orb was an ancient elven artifact, so
Now
he will
that
be mad about
Corypheus
that.
has been defeated, we
He's
have
also
a
up to
moment to
something.
stop and celebrate.
He's also up to something.
Afterwards, you will be busy. Every noble in southern Thedas is clamoring to meet you.
Hooray!
Oh, now they're lining up to meet me.
Such is the way of things. Previously, you were an upstart, nothing more than a leader of rebels and heretics. Until Corypheus revealed himself, they could not see the single hand behind the chaos. Once he did, they knew. A magister and a darkspawn in one creature, the ultimate evil. Now you are the only power left standing. Enjoy the evening while you can, Inquisitor.
Thanks. Alright, so we have time to wrap this up. Nice. We can talk to everybody. Chat with everyone, do all our nice wrap-ups. See what everyone's up to.
Am I imagining it? Or do we have a moment to breathe?
We have a moment.
I think you're right. You brought us here. You are proof that the Inquisition made a difference. That we will continue to do so.
That's why we're having this fancy party. Celebrate, Commander. You've earned it.
I should be thanking you. You gave me a chance to prove myself. In your place, I'm not sure I would have done the same. I should let you mingle. I'm sure everyone desires your attention, as much as I might want it for myself.
Let's see, what else? You doing Blackwall?
All this pomp and ceremony. Can't top seeing that bastard Corypheus burn. No matter what happens to me now, I can say I was there. I helped you bring him down.
It took all of us, but we did it.
I shudder to think where we'd be without you leading us. So now that you've saved the world, what's next? Hoping to put it all back together?
Someone has to fix things. Might as well be me.
If anyone can do it, you can. If you ever need my help, you know where to find me. I'll be ready.
Yeah. I mean, she's very much destined for all this. That's kind of the whole point of all of this. And again, this is just one more example of the Maker is clearly on our side. That the whole Herald of Andraste thing, even if it was built on a bit of a misunderstanding, is still providential. And this also kind of applies to my latest video on primary and secondary causality. That, yeah, all of it can just be a sheer coincidence, and all of it can be the result of timing and happenstance and people's choices and actions, but also it can be the will of the Maker. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, and you were meant to have it. That sort of thing. There is a hand behind, guiding all of this from behind. We cannot see. I'm in a very quoting Lord of the Rings mood. I'm almost done with Return. By the way, I'm almost done with Return of the King, and I just finished the Scouring of the Shire, and I had completely forgotten just how handily the hobbits managed to rout Sharky and his ruffians. It's very impressive. Casualties were 219, and also hundreds more ruffians with no more hobbit casualties were driven off, surrendered their weapons, and fled, kind of thing. It was unbelievable. And that's just from, I mean, it's the equivalent of 4 20th level adventurers going back to the starting town and clearing it of bandits, which really would be a fun capstone for a D&D campaign. And also, it is the absolute perfect capstone for the hero's journey as well, where the hero comes back changed with this mystical boon from the other side, from the magical part of the world, and rights the wrongs of his home with what he has received and what he has brought back. That part is missing from, very distinctively missing from the movie trilogy, and I really think it would have been better with it, even though it seems kind of anticlimactic. They go back to the Shire and they beat up Saruman, but I mean, they don't actually. They get him to surrender, and then Wormtongue cuts his throat. But whatever, they go back and they beat Saruman. But it's also like, yeah, maybe you can say it's anticlimactic, but it's also the perfect culmination of the story. Anyway, I think it should have been in there. I get why it wasn't, but that's all the worse for modern sensibilities.
So many people died.
Especially for movies.
More still are hurting. They need help. It seems wrong to celebrate, but I want to. The part of me that's me needs to, after all this. The servants are drinking. Some of them are drinking while lying down.
Do you have any interest in joining them?
I don't know. Not now. It makes things more complicated, and I'm not ready.
He's gradually becoming more human,
Someday.
less spirit.
Maybe. What happens next? Where do we go?
It's weird that he can do that. Just go from being a spirit, pure spirit, to being more human. That seems to be weird in terms of the lore, but it's very cool. It's another really cool character development.
It will be interesting to see what comes next.
Yes. Because of you. Thank you for letting me stay.
Finally got a party, yeah? A bit of fun for saving the world. It's the least Andraste's Herald deserves for making things normal again. Except for you know, everything ever again. I mean, is this for us or for her? Or, you know, him? Because I was there and I still don't know what's real.
We were vessels for his will. We always have been.
There you go.
Weird, but alright, I suppose. It makes a kind of sense. I guess you'd know by this point. Seems like you did it right, mostly. Still some things to do yet, right? Because I'm in no hurry to go back to Valrio. That's where I was. You mind if people still stay around? For whatever?
I could use the company, because this doesn't seem like it'll end.
Oh, poor leader of everything. Alright, enough of that. Is this a party or what? Raise them for winning! Big freaking heroes, Inquisitor. All of us.
I was passing through the hall this morning and a serving girl saw me and squealed. Actually squealed, dropped her laundry and everything, such a mess. She was completely breathless. You were at the battle with the evil one, weren't you? I didn't even get a chance to answer. She hugged me. Hugged me. This is your influence.
Admit it,
Yes.
you're having a ball.
I don't trust camaraderie, all these people smiling, buying me drinks. It's unnatural. Mind you, I can't say I hate the notion of being the good Tevinter. I suppose you can't all be evil bastards. The blacksmith said that, and he spat when we first met. I hope my father hears. He will shit his small clothes from shock, I swear.
You're an example of how noble Tevinter could be.
For some, maybe. Back home, they'll be rolling their eyes behind their fans. Meanwhile, they'll conveniently forget the bastards who wanted Corypheus ruling us all. I've decided to stay with the Inquisition. For now.
You will?
Tevinter lacks the presence of my best and only friend. It'll keep.
All right.
Ugh, I should never have hired new caterers so late.
Leave it be, Josie. Everything's fine.
It is not! I'm so sorry, nothing's quite as it should be. Do you like the drinks? I'm not sure about them.
The drinks are fine. It's been a wonderful evening.
I hope you're not just saying that. You're not, are you? Oh, what a disaster. The Somali pledged the invitation,
It's okay.
so I guess barely went out at all, and...
It's okay.
It was so wonderful to prepare for a small banquet instead of the end of the world. Do you know what everyone is talking about tonight, from commoners to kings? Us. Thedas is discussing the success of the Inquisition.
First of all, have I ever mentioned at all how clever that little clipboard thing is? It has a candle and an inkwell that seems so precarious, but it's very neat. Very neat.
Are you descending into open boasting, Lady Montilier?
I can scarcely think of a better time. Truly, we will never forget those we lost. But for tonight, to victory.
You're here.
Enjoying the refreshments? Josephine sent all the way to the capital for the petit four.
I love tiny cakes, and there are so many. Which should I try first?
I would avoid the dark ones topped with gold dust. Deep mushroom and anise. An awful combination, but it's quite popular in
Actually sounds
Valrio.
kind of good.
I believe they call it the exquisite misery. Ole. Why did we save her again? To you, Inquisitor, for all you've done.
Now, I don't exactly know what deep mushrooms would taste like, really, but some kind of a mushroom and anise actually sounds like a really good flavor combination. I would definitely try that.
I can't believe it's over. It seemed an impossible task. Defy the Chantry, build the Inquisition from nothing, defeat a creature that would be a god. And yet here we are, celebrating.
I hear Once We Were in the background, played on a subtle harp. Nice. It's my favorite of the tavern songs as well, and it also fits very well as a sort of victory theme.
I have news from the sequester.
Oh, what?
I believe the Chantry intends to name me Divine very soon. It would not have been possible
didn't say
without
anything.
your support and friendship. It means a great deal to me.
That's good news.
I think back to how we first met, and here you stand, the chosen of Ondrath, proven in the eyes of all Thedas, and you
Kind
are
of
my
had me at
friend.
sword point for a while.
How did that happen, I wonder? I'm pleased it did. You are a great woman, and I will always stand at your side.
That is a definite good change of pace from where we started.
So much to do, my dear. Elections for Grand Enchanter must be held, and many of the circles lack even interim First Enchanters. It will take time, and it may not be possible to restore the history that was lost, but we will reinstate the circles. But that will wait. Are you enjoying the celebration? Josephine was in a frenzy arranging it.
It's just so terribly elegant.
As a matter of fact, I am. This is all for you, darling. Enjoy yourself. You've earned it. Go mingle. The night is still young.
Who else do we got? Anyone else? It's everybody. We already out with everyone. Where'd Varric go? Ah, there he is.
I've been starting to think about putting all this into a book.
No way.
I'm thinking, this shit is weird. The Inquisitor Trevelyan story. What do you think?
Okay.
It's a working title.
Maybe you should keep working.
I'll leave the title for last. Naming things is always the worst. I still haven't decided if I should do this book. As if
It's unbelievably
anyone will believe this story if I tell it. Not to mention, I'll have my hands full with reconstruction and relief efforts in the free marches as soon as I get back.
I mean, helping people, yes, he kind of needs to do that, but other people can also do that. Varric, play to your strengths. I want him to stay, but also play to your strengths, Varric.
You should write the book.
I'll see what I can do once I get home. I'm not leaving for a while yet, though. We'll have to get in at least one game of Wicked Grace before I go. Curly needs to win back some of his dignity.
Oh my gosh. All right, that's everyone, right? Did I talk to everyone? Yeah. All right. Oh, I missed Iron Bolt. And his chargers, too.
So,
oh, that's not his chargers.
Dragons, giant asshole Vint on a big magic rock. You don't let it get dull, boss. Good stuff.
You helped make it possible, Bull.
That's what they pay me for. It's weird. I joined the Inquisition under orders from the Ben Hathrath and stayed because Corypheus was an asshole. Now that it's done, I've got no orders. For the first time in my life, I can go wherever I want.
You know I'll find you the best fights.
I know. Anyway, the only place I'm going tonight is back for more drinks. To us, being alive, and the bad guys not. Anan.
Nice. It's a good toast. All right, now that's everyone, right? That's everyone? I didn't miss anyone, did I? All right.
You managed to slip away. I thought I might claim more of your attention after all.
I'm glad you're here.
Good. The battle's over. There will be a new divine. Yet I don't care about anything other than you being alive.
Oh god, it's sunrise already. Yeesh.
I don't know what happens after this.
Neither do I.
Tis said that Corypheus woke after his long slumber and found the world gone awry. He fought to bring back those days of magic and shadow, to raise himself as a god and set things right. Now,
we are left with a scar in the sky to remind us of what almost was. It tells us that a great victory against chaos was won, but left the world forever changed. Consider the mighty empire of Orlais, where Empress Celine remains on her golden throne. The civil war is ended, and order finally restored. The Empress is unchallenged. But at what price? Blood drips from Celine's hands, and all her court know it. However, none are in a position to move against her. The Empire's ties to the Inquisition remain strong, both sides benefiting from the ongoing relationship. The Alliance meets with the approval of Celine's subjects, who see it as a necessary move within the game. Orlais prospers, and soon forgets that it could very easily have been otherwise.
Orlais is doing well.
The Grey Wardens of the South slowly rebuild in the months following the events at Adamant. They declare it time for the Order to emerge from the shadows, to join the rest of humanity in fighting their ancient foes. Rumors abound that they severed ties with their leaders at Weishaupt, and that a bitter war now rages between them. What becomes of Hawke is unknown, save that all news out of Weishaupt soon ends. Does the sudden silence indicate a battle within, or something far worse?
Really hope we see that in the next game.
1 month after the defeat of Corypheus, the
Little riot,
Chantry names
mostly.
Cassandra as successor to the Sunburst throne. Given the name Divine Victoria, she immediately enacts reform, a new Templar order, and a new circle of Magi.
Wait,
The Seekers
given
of
the name.
Truth are rededicated to their purpose of protecting the innocent. A proclamation of support for the Inquisition is
Interesting.
issued, recognizing its service to all of Thedas. Despite her popularity, the new Divine's reforms are seen by some as going too far.
It's interesting, though,
The
that
Inquisition's
given the name,
mages, the
Cool.
former rebels, led by Grand Enchanter Fiona,
different from
are left
papal
with a
names, which are
choice.
taken.
In the end, they refuse Cassandra's invitation to rejoin the Circle of Magi, and instead reform the College of Enchanters as a new order. The college, they say, will allow mages of the South to gather in peace and seek new solutions to age-old problems. From the beginning, the college and the circle have clashed, and some fear it will lead to a new war of the mages upon themselves.
Okay, so that's 2 new civil wars. We got wardens and we got mages. Okay, let's see how many we can create. How many civil wars we can make.
And what of the Inquisition itself? Its military might has grown, now rivaling that of kingdoms. Fear of the Inquisition's
We found nothing
army
about Ferelden.
has become the true source of its power. I leave Skyhold now, knowing that power will continue to grow. The Inquisitor is a symbol to many, a leader of the changing world order. To others, she has become a target. They linger in the shadows, waiting for their day to come. When it does, the Inquisition shall stand ready.
Okay, let me... let's skip that. Sorry about the music. Oh, no, it's still going. Still going. Okay. So we're going to get to a wrapping up point here because it is midnight. Oh. What's this now?
I knew you would come. You should not have given your orb to Corypheus, Dread Wolf.
I was too weak to unlock it after my slumber. The failure was mine. I should pay the price. But the people... they need me. I am so sorry.
I am sorry as well, old friend.
so it's not perfectly clear what just happened. In case not, Solus is the Dread Wolf, one of the ancient Evanurus, the elven gods, the trickster god, and it seems like he just took the power of Mythal and Themiel from Flemeth, because Mythal and Harel were old friends back in the good old days of Arlathan. And that will lead us right into Trespasser, which we'll do next week. I'm going to see what else, if there's anything else I need to do side content-wise. I don't think so. I think we're basically done. If there is any more side content to do, I might do it during the week or something like that. And it looks like next week will be when we start Trespasser, which is the final story DLC of this game and the series so far, until Dragon Age 4, The Dread Wolf, comes out in, well, who knows how long. Speculation says 2024, but who knows? Could actually be sooner than that, unlikely, but who knows. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. And with that, good night. I'll see you guys on Monday for more Knights of the Old Republic 2, and I will see you all next Thursday as we continue to play Dragon Age Inquisition and wrap up the Trespasser DLC. So, thank you all once again. Wonderful night. See you next time.